Deary me, what a performance from Arsenal. What have we just witnessed? That was truly sensational. Sublime stuff, historic stuff from Arsenal, the Magnificent Seven. They made history tonight. Truly sensational. PSV were eviscerated. Arsenal were merciless. And Mikel Arteta got it right. And he deserves a huge amount of plaudits. Arsenal are the first team to score 7 away goals in the Champions League knockout stages. They have made history in that circumstance. But they have also made history with Ethan Nwaneri. He has become the third youngest goal scorer in the Champions League knockout stages, behind only Bojan and Jude Bellingham. What a night for Arsenal. I truly can't believe it, because I know a lot of Arsenal fans that have gone to this game. A crew that I know that go to Arsenal regularly have all gone over to Holland for this game. And I swear to you, the ones that I talked to on a regular basis were saying that they were going to Holland hoping for a draw. They were saying that a draw in that circumstance would have been a really good result. And on some level, they would have been right, because can you imagine if it had gone wrong? Can you imagine the inquest that Mikel Arteta would have had to have faced? We would have been talking about their season being over. We would have had to be talking about the speculation around his future. But instead of that, the quality of their play, the way that they were so on it, on the front foot, Dubai worked. The intensity of their press, they were so robust. And it was a serious message sent out to the rest of Europe. Arsenal have made it. Arsenal were in to the quarterfinals of Europe. Arsenal will be playing Atletico Madrid or Real Madrid. There is only jeopardy around who it is in terms of who they face, not whether they make it or not. And by that stage, I think it's fair to assume that they could have Gabriel Martinelli, Bukayo Saka back. All of a sudden, Arsenal's season, it feels like it's potentially resurgent again, because the quality of some of their play. Look at the 7th goal. What a ridiculous sentence. Look at the 7th goal. I mean, in fact, you know what? 7 goals away from home in Europe. The Magnificent 7. Scoring more than half a dozen goals away from home in Europe. Having half a dozen goal scorers away from home in Europe. If that doesn't qualify to be a delectable medley of footballing splendour, I do not know what does. I mean, it really, really was fantastic. But watch that 7th goal. Calafiori's goal. It is so perfect. It is so easy. It is so well crafted. You know, the artistry of Martin Odegaard, the way that he moves, the grace with which he plays the ball. I don't understand how anyone can be snide towards Martin Odegaard. I think he's an elite level player. I think he is one of the best players in the league, and I think he's certainly integral to everything good that Arsenal do. And the pass that he plays with the outside of his boot, and the finish from Calafiori, bearing in mind Calafiori is a left back. He's over the other side. He tucks it past the keeper in a fashion that Ian Wright would have been proud of. It was a poacher's finish, brilliantly executed. It really was a wonderful goal, and it is so surprising because, like I say, the fellas that I knew that were going to this game were hoping for a draw. They were basically going over there. They were going to Amsterdam to have a night in Amsterdam before travelling down to Eindhoven, and they were saying that get a 0-0 draw and bring them home to the Emirates. That's what they were saying. They were talking to me about how Arsenal have failed to score in 3 of their last 4 games and how PSV have a long, unbeaten home record. And therefore, a 0-0 draw would be a good result. They were going over there hoping for a draw and to beat them at the Emirates. Instead of that, 7. They scored 7. I mean, that's just truly unbelievable. And like I say, Arsenal are in the quarterfinals of the European Cup. And that is a statement that they so desperately needed. I mean, it really was. It was a perfect night. It's very rare that the perfect night exists in football. But if it does, that just has to be it. Like, don't get me wrong, there were moments when it didn't look like it was going to go their way. And I think it's fair to say that at times it was quite a chaotic game. You know, Arsenal were always threatening, always motivated, always keen going forward. But at one point in the game, when I was watching it, it felt like PSV had something going on. There was that Lewis Skelly moment, wasn't there, when I felt like he could have seen red at, 2-0. And had he been sent off in that moment, it could have been slightly different. Obviously, PSV hit the bar as well. So it felt like it could have been different. But then suddenly, the 2 early goals at the start of the second half, like PSV capitulated. They were absolutely woeful, chaotic, disorganised. The gap between, it felt like everyone was attacking apart from the defence, which meant as Martin Odegaard was running through, there was no midfield. It was honestly like nonsense play from them. And they should honestly be incredibly embarrassed. But Mikel Arteta has to be over the moon. And it does show you that break, you know, he loves that winter break. And last year they had the winter break, they bounced back, they went on that run where they won, 17 out of 19 games. They looked so up for it today. So full of press, so full of anger, so robust, so keen, so hungry, so full of tenacity and spirit. And it is a statement. It is a statement win. And, I heard Declan Rice speaking. He was very articulate, Declan Rice. I don't know if you heard the interview. He was saying that that his manager wants more from him and his team in terms of what they offer, not just in terms of their position. So I think that he wants more from Declan Rice, maybe in an attacking sense, more from Declan Rice in a defensive sense. He doesn't just want players to identify in their position. And it made me think of that Man City team. You know, when Man City were when they were sort of winning a domestic treble, and you had a player like Bernardo Silva, who was a midfielder, with an inkling to attack. He would defend as resolutely as any defender in the league. And equally, you had a player like, Cancelo, who was nominally a fullback, but he would create as well as any other creative player in the league. And everybody borrowed attributes from everybody else. And that's exactly what Declan Rice was saying Mikel Arteta wants from his team. And I think he wants defenders to attack, and I think he wants attackers to defend, and everybody contributes. And you saw it with Declan Rice today. He was everywhere. But Arteta got his wish. 2 defenders on the score sheet. You've got a defender opening the scoring for Arsenal. You've then got a defender scoring, in my opinion, the best goal of the game, just in terms of the craft and the poetry in the move. And it really does feel like it's turning into this effervescent, interchangeable system that Mikel Arteta is so desperate to see. Defenders in full flow, defenders on the score sheet. And there really was like an added zip about Arsenal. They really did look excellent, and they can now start planning for a quarterfinal against Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid. Like, there is no jeopardy around that. They have made it. They are going to be playing in the quarterfinal. And what a way to do it. Scoring 7 goals in a single game. Like, that's the first time that they've done it since, I don't know, somebody was saying on Twitter, like, since 2012. I think they scored 7 against Newcastle in 2012. That's how long ago it was. So it really is huge. I mean, I can't really... Do you remember that game against Reading? I remember they scored 7 against Reading. Remember that 7-5 game? It was like absolutely ridiculous. But I tell you what, everything that's been going on at Arsenal lately, all the frustration, all of the tension, all of the headlines, all of the irritable feeling, it's as if they unleashed that weapon upon PSV Eindhoven. It really was an excellent, excellent performance. And to go to PSV and do that to them, because they have a proud record, a very proud record at home. And I think that a lot of people were looking at this PSV Eindhoven versus Arsenal game with the potential of an upset. It wouldn't have been that surprising if Arsenal didn't score tonight. It wouldn't have been that surprising if we were talking about Mikel Arteta getting it wrong. All of a sudden, you would genuinely be talking about Mikel Arteta's future. Arsenal were the side that couldn't score goals. 3 out of 4 games they've gone without scoring a goal. All of a sudden, they've gone from being a team that couldn't score a goal to a team that literally couldn't miss. It was unbelievable. It really was. And I don't know. On some level, we have to acknowledge that PSV were shoddy, a little bit cavalier. But there are no easy games. There are absolutely no easy games in Champions League football. And for the Arsenal fans, can you imagine being an Arsenal fan in the away end? You're in Holland tonight. You're going to possibly travel back to Amsterdam tonight off the back of asking, you're Tottenham in disguise, and who put the ball in the back of the Eindhoven net and all that. This is a historic game of football. And if you're an Arsenal fan, you should genuinely be over the moon watching that. Scoring goals in Europe to that level is huge. Look, I'm a Chelsea fan, and we still talk about scoring 5 goals away at the Atatürk. We beat Galatasaray 5-0. And it is a historic moment, something that really does stay with us. And this result tonight, battering PSV in the way that they have done. Nwaneri making history, becoming the 3rd youngest goalscorer in knockout Champions League football, joining Jude Bellingham and Bojan. It's just iconic. It really, really is. And, when you think about what that means, he is now, the 2nd youngest Arsenal player to appear in the Champions League and knockout rounds after Fabregas. This is a very young, exciting team. And whilst I think it's going to be difficult for Arsenal, really difficult, and, they've let it go stale in the Premier League, it's not going to go their way, there must be something quite therapeutic about a night like tonight. And the season rolls on. There is a chance that they could do something truly immense in Europe. It's unlikely, but it is not impossible. And when you see them doing what they did tonight, I mean, who knows? Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid? I mean, it makes you wonder. Who would they rather play? I don't even know. What do you reckon? Who would they rather play? Real Madrid, Mbappe running at them and all that. It's going to be terrifying. But Simeone versus Arteta? God, sort of jealous, man. I love Champions League football. I love the European stuff. I love the European Cup. 7 goals away from home. Mate, relish it, Arsenal. You got to relish it. It's an amazing, amazing result. It really is. Gutted. Let me know your thoughts. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Please click subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you all in a bit. Have a lovely night. Ta-ra.